I was 11 years old when I was walking down the stairs of my home one evening, when this thought or this realization hit me. For the first time ever, I fully realized that I was a real person, and I fully realized what it meant. I already realized earlier in life that I was gonna die at some point and that life probably didn't really have any meaning to it, but now that I fully realized what it meant to be human and what it meant to be alive, this scared me to death. I always was an anxious kid. When I went to bed when I was younger, I always was scared to close my eyes or scared to go to sleep because I knew that a monster or a murderer would come into my room and kill me. I was always scared of random stuff, but nothing ever came close to this existential dread that I was feeling now. I felt like opening Pandora's box. Once opened, I could never close it again. Once thought, I could never unthink it. I could never unrealize it. I continued walking down the stairs into the living room where my parents were watching a movie. I sat beside them, I didn't say anything, and I couldn't focus on anything. The only thing I could focus on was the fear. I thought I would go crazy, that my life was over, because the only thing that made sense was this fear. The only thing I could focus on was this fear, because all the other stuff seemed useless and didn't matter. Now that I realized this, life didn't make any sense anymore, and I could never function as a human being anymore. This wasn't true though, because I learned to distract myself over the years. I just made sure I was never alone with my thoughts anymore. So for the next 7 years of my life, I delved deep into games, movies, TV shows, YouTube, anything to keep my mind distracted. I was running away from my own thoughts so much that I even brought my phone into the shower to watch like YouTube videos because I couldn't be alone for like even 5 minutes while showering. And this worked, but I wasn't living a very happy life. Life slowly became worse and worse. Until one day, when I was 17, I was on my bed just chilling, watching Naruto, when all the anxiety and fear just came back. And it was stronger than ever. At this point, I learned so many tricks to just distract myself whenever something like this happened. But this time, nothing seemed to work. The same feeling of going crazy, because of this feeling of self-realization combined with this feeling of insurmountable fear that I had 7 years earlier, came back and it wouldn't leave this time. I went to bed shaking with anxiety that evening. The next morning was probably the worst day of my life. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm happy I didn't do anything stupid. Distracting myself from anxiety from this point on didn't work anymore, which led me to be very depressed. The following months, I lived a life where I was only happy when I was asleep. When I woke up in the morning was my worst part of my day because it was the longest until I was going back to sleep again and I had to feel everything again for the longest time. But actually after a while things got a little better again. I started partying, going out, chasing after girls, doing some alcohol, and these things actually kinda distracted me again. I went through periods of higher and lower anxiety again until I was about 21 when it was really bad again. I was living in a constant state of fear again, and then something changed in me. I could no longer do this. I needed a solution. So I started to fight back. I started meditating, journaling, I already went to the gym, I started focusing on my diet, my sleep, and bit by bit my mind became less anxious. I also started a new school where I made some new friends and life was starting to go better. I discovered self-improvement, Hamza's channel, and this community really connected with my values and the things I was doing now. I progressively overloaded self-improvement and I actually became a man I was proud of. I had more good habits day by day and the bad habits seemed to fade away slowly, and I was really convinced I had beaten anxiety by changing up my lifestyle. But I was wrong. Because not long after turning 22, all the anxiety came back. I was stronger equipped now because I knew about dieting, about sleep, about exercise, about journaling, meditating, how all these things could help with anxiety. But none of it seemed to work really. This made me feel very hopeless and like I had no control over my life. My life could be horrible at any moment in time and there was nothing I could do about it. If my anxiety returned, just based off nothing really, my life would just be horrible and I couldn't do anything about it except for just suffer. For the next 6 months of my life, I tried to fix my life by just meditating more or eating no sugar, just any self-improvement things, but it just didn't work. It was all useless, the anxiety just wouldn't go away. Until I realized this one thing. I realized that with self-improvement I was doing the same thing as I was doing with all the video games, all the movies, all the TV shows I was watching. I was still running away. What I was running towards was way better than what I was running towards before, but I was still running. So I decided to stand still for a little bit and just delve deep into what I was feeling. really see what my mind was trying to tell me. I felt like if I was going to do this, really listen to the anxiety, I was going to go crazy. I was sure about this. But I didn't really care. I needed to fix this problem if I ever was going to live a happy life. So I sat there, felt the anxiety completely, let it in, wrote about what I was feeling, about my thoughts, and weirdly enough, the feeling of anxiety got less strong. After this, the anxiety didn't go away immediately. But now I found a way to actually overcome it. Instead of running away, instead of fighting, I had to accept it. I couldn't do it every time immediately. I still fought it sometimes, I still ran away sometimes. But bit by bit, I got better at learning to accept it and just be it in the moment and really feel it. And over the months, I really got better and better at accepting this. The book The Power of Now really helped me in this actually. So slowly but surely, the fear of my own mind started to diminish and I could start living actually a happy life without fear. So for the first time since I was probably like 11, anxiety doesn't hold me back in living my life anymore. It might come back in a different form at some point in the future. I don't know. I just know that if it ever comes back, I won't run away. I won't try to fight it. I'm just gonna sit there, allow myself to feel it completely, and accept it. Be better than you were yesterday. See you next time.